a great health law attorney from Miami, Jamaal Jones. Hi, Jamaal. Say hi to the audience out there.
Hey everyone, how you doing? Hi Mark, how's it going today?
Good. Thank you for being one of our distinguished guests today. So, Jamaal, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, favorite food, and and how do you help legal community?
Sure. Well, originally I'm from New York. I've been living in Florida since about 2007. Came down here for law school, and it's really hard to leave. When you get accustomed to those shorts and flip flops, it's kind of hard to go back to parkas and boots, right? But during my law school career, I was working for the Attorney General's office in the Medicaid Fraud Control Unit. And I was also the president of the Health Law Society while I was in law school. And on graduating, I was able to find a job working for a firm where they kind of practice primarily in managed care litigation. Not wanting to be a one-trick pony, I decided to go to another firm where they kind of handled more of the transaction and regulatory side of the healthcare business. So, in 2016, I decided to go out on my own and open up my own law firm, and Jones Health Law was born, and I haven't been looking back ever since. As for my favorite food, that's actually kind of that's changed a lot. Can I just pick maybe like cheese? I have a ridiculous amount of cheese in my fridge at any given time, but just American food in general. I loved anyway a good steak before I kind of gave it up, but American food in general is my favorite.
Well, lucky for you, everyone on set with Sawicki today receives a full pack of craft singles.
Oh wow, fantastic! Did you get a 2-for-1 at the supermarket or?
I just sent it Amazon Prime to you. Let's hope you get it in 2 days. So, one of my favorite things about you is that you run a law firm that is a very unique field of law that most lawyers don't even know exists.
Sure.
Can you tell us tell us a little bit about your practice and a little bit about who your clientele.
Yeah, my practice is very unique in that sense that there's not really a lot of attorneys who do practice in the area of health law. They kind of dabble a little bit, but a lot of my colleagues also they tend to work for larger firms, whereas I'm for the most part a sole practitioner. I have another associate that works with me, but she's in med school as well, if you can believe that. But as far as my clientele goes, I work with a lot of different types of individuals, whether you're a healthcare executive for a small, medium, or large size healthcare entity or facility. I also work with healthcare practitioners, as you know, whether you're a chiropractor, an MD, a nurse, anything of the sort, but then also healthcare entrepreneurs. Those would be individuals who don't necessarily have a degree in one of the sciences, but they found a way to work in the healthcare space, right? So one of the best examples of that would be someone who is a software developer. They developed a program or something that healthcare facilities can use to kind of like streamline the process or something like that. And they need an attorney who's not only a health law attorney, but someone who has a background in business as well to kind of help them navigate the nuances of the applicable, not only business laws, but as well as the healthcare laws and drafting the appropriate agreements and obtaining the appropriate licenses and credentials as well, effectively run that business.
Your law firm is based in Coral Gables. Do you service individuals throughout Florida?
Yeah, throughout Florida and actually throughout the country, to be honest. But primarily in Florida. But for example, I get a lot of phone calls from residents who've been terminated from their residency programs, and I get phone calls from Oregon to Texas to Pennsylvania to Florida and everything in between. And because those are largely internal proceedings. And again, there's not a lot of attorneys out there who really kind of provide counsel to residents in these types of situations. I get a lot of phone calls for this. So I definitely, to the extent that I can, I help individuals across the country as well as long as I'm permitted to do so by law. But yeah, generally speaking, in the state of Florida.
And if a doctor is finishing up their residency or their fellowship and they're going to be accepting a job in the state of Florida, generally they have an employment contract, right?
Yeah, they definitely have an employment contract, and I highly recommend that they have an attorney review that contract prior to signing it, because there's a lot of different terms in that contract that you're going to want to make sure that you understand. There are things called RVUs. You have non-compete agreements in there that, and a lot of the terms can be negotiated. And as a young doctor, you think that, well, it's take it or leave it. But it's not necessarily the case. They give you an opportunity to hire an attorney to go over the contract and negotiate that contract on your behalf. Because a lot of times, you're locked into this contract for maybe 2 to 3 years, and you want to make sure that you're going to be happy there with your compensation. And when you do leave, you want to make sure that, there's nothing that's really going to kind of like hinder you long term when you move on to the next hospital or facility that you work at.
And I'm sure one of the hottest topics that exist in your world are going to be either termination due to COVID-19 or any form of change in your work due to COVID-19. How are you finding the COVID pandemic has affected either your business or your clients?
I think it's affected it on both sides. I definitely have those cases where companies are trying to shore up money. They're trying to cut costs, right? So you're definitely seeing a lot of employment agreements being revised. But I've seen a lot of activity where people see an opportunity right now. And a lot of new businesses are being created in the mobile sense as well as the telemedicine arena. So you would think that because the country at large is suffering financially, economically, but healthcare doesn't take a day off. We all need healthcare, and the business is truly booming right now. So I've been seeing a lot of activity from individuals who are buying and selling practices, and people who are trying to start a new business in the healthcare arena.
I'm sure your field transition to working virtually must have been hard. What helped you personally get through that?
Sure. So when you say you mean as an attorney or the individuals that I work with?
I'd say as a lawyer.
Yeah, it's interesting because I always tell people that, and you know the story, Mark, very well, but I always tell people if I tried to start my own law firm 10 years ago, I probably wouldn't have been able to do it. Fortunately, I started my practice back in 2016, and I was really kind of like at the cusp of I feel was a transitionary period. A lot of my business has been done remotely. I have clients that I've never even seen before. And now through the use of Google Meet and Zoom, I'm really able to service a lot of clients that I wasn't really able to service before. Just to kind of put it in perspective, I had to send a fax out to someone the other day, and I don't have a fax machine. I rarely use a fax machine. However, there's a company called HelloFax that sends faxes for you via just scans that you scan into your computer. So things like that has really facilitated this kind of work from home environment for a lot of individuals. I was a little bit ahead of the curve because a lot of the programs and services that I use were really just low cost for someone like myself who was starting a business from nothing. I needed to keep my overhead to a minimum. So the transition for me hasn't really been that difficult. I think the biggest change thus far has been relying on leads and business generation from solely my website and social media, rather than me going out there and networking in person, whether it be lunches or seminars or anything of that nature where there's networking opportunities. That's been the biggest adjustment for me.
So you're someone who's very personable, knows how to use social media well. How has social media impacted your professional world and assisting of getting new clients?
Yeah, I mean, you really have to be more active on social media. That's really kind of the way the game goes right now. If you don't have a social media presence, then you're really not really going to get that far. I mean, look, a lot of people aren't necessarily looking for their next health law attorney on Instagram. or maybe even Facebook. But, things like Google reviews or Avo or any of those things where people are going to want to do their due diligence on their attorneys, right? So where Instagram, for example, comes into play is I'll post pictures of, clients that I currently work with or clients that I've worked with in the past, just so that they can see, and vet me a little bit by seeing that, hey, this guy does have a presence on social media, on the web. So I feel a little bit more comfortable, especially for those clients who haven't met me in person. They want to be able to refer to something to see what I'm about, whether it's in the office or outside of the office. I've been for Big Brothers Big Sisters for a number of years now. And, I'm very open and honest about my experiences with Big Brothers Big Sisters. And, all the different events that I do with Big Brothers Big Sisters, I try to, put that on my social media accounts as well as my website. So people kind of get to know me a little bit better through the social media.
So who's your client?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Who would be your ideal client?
My ideal client would be a client that pays. That's no, honestly, I like working with seasoned veterans, right? Because I get to learn a little bit from them as well. But I also like working with younger providers, younger healthcare executives and entrepreneurs, because I get to grow with them, right? And they also are a little bit more in touch or in tune with kind of, how healthcare is being delivered today. Like I said, via telehealth, telemedicine. They're not quite Luddites the way some of the other older professionals might be. And it's great to have those long relationships with people because you get to develop a level of trust over a period of time. And who doesn't want to be in that kind of relationship? So, like I said, any healthcare executives, any healthcare entrepreneurs or practitioners, clinicians, those are the types of people that I'm looking to work with. I'm not a big shop, so, trying to get Jackson or Memorial or any of these larger healthcare systems, I'm not even really kind of like fishing in those waters, to be quite frank with you, because I don't really have the manpower to be able to assist those individuals, and I'm okay with that. I'd rather have the individual providers or the small group practices and help them because they tend to be overlooked sometimes because the larger firms are looking for the companies that are going to have these massive retainers that they'll be able to provide to them. So I've kind of been able to make my mark in that world, and it's been quite lucrative for me over the years.
It's wonderful. So are you rooting for the Heat and for the NBA to go to the NBA Finals?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I'm from New York, but I've never been a Knicks fan. I'm not ashamed to say that.
Do you think you have a better shooting stroke than Tyler Hero?
Well, I'm a little bit rusty right now, but I'll definitely, go 10 for 10 with him. Let's see.
Give it a whirl, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Favorite team to play an NBA Jam?
Oh man, it have to be the Bulls.
You ever got hot while playing?
Oh yeah, definitely. That ball definitely gets on fire every time I touch it.
So the NFL season officially started. Who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl this year?
It's kind of hard to bet against Brady. I don't know. It looks like a lot of people are following him to Tampa Bay. So, I think if they gel well, then sky's the limit. He's clearly has a proven track record of being a winner. Let's see if that happens again in the 2020-2021 season.
Will you switch to the Tampa Bay Bucs bandwagon if they win?
No, man. Honestly, I've believe it or not, ever since I was a kid, I was a Dolphins fan long before I moved to Florida, and I'm used to suffering through many seasons of just abysmal play, abysmal games. So I could suffer through it for another couple of seasons.
Well, you know what? As someone who has clients on the Dolphins, I will assure that they're on the mediocre rise up. And let's hope that Dolphin Super Bowl for 2021, right?
Yes, let's go. That's what I like to hear.
Perfect. So I'm being told we're out of time. So
Okay.
for myself, Mark Sawicki, and Jamaal Jones, we're on set with Sawicki. We're here to protect your peace. And if you have any questions about health law, if you're a doctor or provider, anyone, please feel free to reach out to Jamaal Jones. His website's going to be in the bottom here, joneshealthlaw.com. Call Jamaal, free consultation, and even share a virtual coffee with you if you want.
Yes.
Thank you. Have a great day.